Off the deflection, Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Now Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
There's Warner. Here comes a headed jam. Counted for two. The field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game.
Left, that is gone!
Lob for Perez, that's my play, off the backboard, counting, and a win!
And a win! Ryan Perez wins the game for the Santa Rosa Warriors, and they go nuts, and why not? What's going on, guys? We're back for another show here at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. Kevin Naro, Joe Bowling, and our special guest to kick off the show, Harlingen head coach Manny Gomez. So, Coach, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Appreciate you guys having us.
All right, Coach. Well, let's just dive into it. We'll start off this segment on talking about. We usually start talking about last week's games, and so let's go over your week last week. It was, in some ways, when I look at it, it's nothing different because it's San Benito Harlingen. There's no worried about, am I going to get my kids up? Am I going to be prepared? Are they going to be prepared? But talk us through that week, and then we'll get into the game itself.
Well, early on in what we do, we like to live in the moment, and we don't really worry, if you want to say. We like to take care of right now. So, and then eventually, once we get them to understand that, we give them goals, and we basically implement the hey, let's win one game a week concept. So keep things really simple. It's basically what we like to do in Cardinal land, and it makes things easy. Okay, we don't bring this up or that up, but everything's the same. Everything's the same no matter who we're playing. The preparation is what we rely on. It's always the same, and it's very cliche-ish, like usually the stuff that comes out of my mouth, because it's what we do. We keep things really simple. And when you keep things really simple, things make things easier for a human being. But that's how I learned it, and how I was raised as well, from my father and standpoint. Keep things simple. But it was simply go out there and love what you do, and then everything will take care of itself.
Having played in that game and having now coached in that game multiple times, talk to me about when we were discussing it. Bobby Lucio was here last week, and I asked him. I said, Bobby, you've been around this game a long time. When have the words "sold out crowd" been attached to it very often? In your memory, did you play before what was called a sold out crowd? I know big ones, but was that the first time that you could hear those words on a Monday for a Friday game?
Honestly, it probably maybe crossed my mind for maybe I don't know where I heard it. I saw it on Twitter or what, because to me it's like eventually it's like putting these things on. Everything is silent. You don't worry about or care about who's in the stands, right? As long as your family's up there, your wives are up there. We play for eventually. In my vision is the audience of one. But other than that, it's like we play for one another. And after that, everything else is tuned out. I know that sounds really boring, but that's really what we do.
That's the truth. So as a coach, then it's not necessarily the concern of keeping players in check, grounded. It's a focus and assignments, and it's week to week. Here are your assignments. Here's what we expect you to do. We're going to work on you executing those. Typical game week.
Now, the thing that makes it unique is my staff. Because a lot of these guys on my staff, I got 12 of them out of the 17. 12 of them are ex-Cardinal players. So I can literally turn my back on these guys because they all know the expectations and standards that we live by. One thing that I understand is the whole process and respect of winning. It's not easy to win. And in this situation, we respect so much the process of winning. There he is, Rocky James. We respect the process of winning, so we understand it and we've lived it. Now all we're trying to do is reproduce it, but in a much bigger way with these kids. And that part of it is humility, and we keep them grounded every week by running them, getting after them, and holding them accountable. But again, that's the whole thing about the value of what we do and the respect and the what it takes to win, and definitely embracing the process. And that's who we are and how prepares us for the next game. And we always say the next biggest game is the next one because we know that it's only 10 games. You know, especially to my seniors bringing up to, I think it was Monday morning. Hey guys, we got 2 more district games left, guys. Think about how fast it's gone. I got to think about how fast it's gone. I go, so what's going to be the story here? Are we going to get to December? What's going to be? So that's kind of where we're at right now. But it's fun right now. You know, the administration is all behind us, and everybody there in the community. You can't go nowhere. People are just excited about Cardinals football and even Harlingen South Hawks football. You know, they're doing some great things. Coach Izzy's doing some great things, and so the city of Harlingen is just embracing our athletes, and it's a lot of fun right now.
No stranger to that, though. When the Cardinal football team is rolling, the community is behind them. When the Cardinal team isn't rolling, the community is behind them. So that's always been the mainstay. Let's talk about your team and break it down. At the beginning of this season, I looked at it and said, there's some question marks here. Who's going to step in this position? Who's going to step in this position? I know guys work hard in the off season. But now assessing it with 2 games left in the regular season, any surprises from this year from what you looked at beginning of the year, what this team has?
Well, our last 2 weeks we've had backup offensive linemen playing defensive line for us. Never thought that I'd have that issue, but it is what it is. Like I tell these kids, guys, we're not receivers, we're not offensive linemen, we're football players. So wherever we need you, we're gonna pencil you in. So it's been fun. It's been fun. I can honestly, it's been fun, the challenge of teaching these kids, but it's what we do. It's what we do. But I can't honestly say that there's no surprises. I knew the expectation was going to be extremely high, not coming from us, it's coming from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
These kids have just made big goals and aspirations and dreams. I said, well, let's follow it. And that's one thing we've been doing as a staff, listening to these kids, and at the same time, letting them, again, great teams lead themselves, and that's what they're doing. And we just kind of like crack the whip here and there and just keep them in check. But other than that, it's been a player-driven team.
Fans ask me all the time leading into last week's game and then afterwards, how big was that compared to the Battle of the Arroyos of the past? And I think we brought it up last week during the show. You really can't measure how big that game was until after you see how far does Harlingen go this year? How far does San Benito go? Because, if you both go to round 4, then suddenly that became one of the biggest Battle of the Arroyos ever played. But at this point in time, that game's finished. You're focused on Rivera, am I right?
Absolutely. It's we enjoy it Friday night, and maybe we enjoy it for a little bit on Saturday morning while we're watching but there's a lot of the good plays and the bad plays. Don't get me wrong. We don't just enjoy the good. So that's kind of like a Belichick approach that I've taken, because it's really easy to look at the good plays, but we also put out the bad things that's happened and stuff. But don't get me wrong. We want for them to understand that that's one thing that Battle of the Road champions that will never be taken from them. But we know that we have a goal, and that goal is to bring that goal ball home. So we know we have two quality opponents, and we got to make sure we just remain focused and do the little things correctly.
Rivera and Los Fresnos are the last 2 notches that appear on the horizon. Rivera first coming up this week. When I talk about it in the broadcast booth, I often talk about what coaches talk about it. First of all, at halftime, regardless of the score, I'm always saying coach wants to have something in their pocket to be able to say we want to improve on this. The perfect game doesn't exist. I don't think. If it ever does, let me know if you've ever coached and been around one that's a perfect game. But when you assess that game, my assessment was start, finish, take away 5 minutes to start the third quarter. And there was a lot of executions on the good plays. That 5-minute span is probably what you looked at for more than the better part of the early part of Saturday. Am I right?
Actually, I was kind of grimacing while I was watching that, but it's part of it because you're playing San Benito, and they're a team that's going to fight you from start to finish. So you have to prepare for 48 minutes and then some. So, and like I said, I got nothing but love and respect for Dan Gomez. He does great things with this program, and then they're going to fight you hard. So it's like exactly what you're walking into. But that's what we prepare for, and that's how we plan every week. We're going to go into a hostile environment, whether it's our house or somebody else's houses, and we're going to do what we do, and that's play extremely hard from start to finish and make sure that the brother next to you doesn't give up. And if they are, you pat them on the back and let's roll. Because that's how we've always done it. That's how we played it. That's how it was taught to me. And that's how, like I said, mentioned earlier, we're just trying to reproduce that in a much bigger way for these kids because, none of us were able to get to become a state champion. So that's what our goal is. And, again, we're all in this together as a staff, as our secretary, you name it, our trainers, we're all in this together. And it was good to see both communities go out there and showing some respect and love for their kids out there in the field because that's what, to me, it's the most important thing, having communities come out and cheering for their kids because that's what it's all about. That's what I'm in this business for. So definitely a lot of fun.
This will be my final question. I'll turn it over to Kevin. But, all my years covering sports, the preview, conditioning, the questions that are asked of coaches, this is why I put you in a category that's much different than most coaches that I've dealt with, and that is the fact that I listen to coaches in their preseason goals, and many are using the words, well, we want to get to the third or the fourth round. You don't look at that from that perspective. You look at we're playing a season and there's a state championship at the end of it, and that's what our goal is. And so, talk about how that came about. Was that instilled by a coach long ago, or is that just something that Manny Gomez says, I'm playing, I want to win, and I'm going to instill that in my players?
Well, don't get me wrong. It takes a lot of meditation sometimes, sometimes a long drives home. But, I evaluated certain things in my world and my leadership and our accomplishments, and then I listen to our coaches too. We have some conversations and stuff. And one thing that I used to always, back in the early days, it was like, man, Gomez, keep things simple. And, hey, man, but at the same time, keep it simple but have a big vision. And that's the whole thing about, as a kid, all I wanted to do was be like a Jesse Armstead, the linebacker for Dallas Carter back in the days and stuff. And what they did and stuff. And then eventually got a chance, got blessed the opportunity to go play college ball, came back, and it's like, man, now if I can do it in a much bigger way with these kids and stuff. And early on as a coach was, hey, man, let's get back to the fourth round. Let's get back to the fifth round, surpass that. And something along the lines eventually kind of like, for some reason, it just kept me like focused on what's going on only in the Valley. And then I said, I have to go back to what I used to think about, and that was the big picture. And that's where we're at. Not just that, but I've been sharing these stories with some of these kids, and these kids are all about it as well. It's like now they're making it their own vision. And, hey, coach, let's roll. So it's good to see how kids, again, it's like no more longer tunnel vision. They have these huge aspirations and desires, and it's like, hey, let's chase them down, because you only get one chance at high school sports. So why not make it the best, because you can do all kind of stuff till you're 80 years old. But, at the age of 15, 16, 17, 18, you only have one chance at high school sports, so why not make it the best? So that's one thing I share and really, really, really believe that these kids have bought into that, and that's why you see them go out there and play so hard, for not just for us, but for themselves and their family and their community.
Always appreciated that, looking at the goals and aspirations and instilling the history into the players about what they represent. Thanks again, Manny Gomez. Manny was one of the first coaches. He and Rocky James and then Tino Villarreal, the three coaches that will be rotating in here, were the first three coaches with Rio Sports Live as we start our 6th year. And again, if I haven't said it enough, I want to say thanks on the air here because you guys were the first to say, hey, Joe, we know what you're doing. Bring it on.
Well, Joe, I want to say thank you for what you're doing because to me it's important, for these kind of Rio Sports Live programs to happen because it allows our kids to be seen throughout the state of Texas, throughout the world. So, and that's what it's all about. I want kids to be exposed in a positive way because it's important. Never know, might be a college recruiter out there that might give a kid a chance, and that's the whole thing. All you need is one little simple, small chance you can turn something small to something big, So, but I appreciate everything that you've done and doing. And like I said, you got a nice little sidekick right over here. You're doing great things too. But like I said, it's definitely a team effort. I think you guys are doing wonderful things. Thank you,
Coach. Kevin?
Yeah, so, for me, Coach, coming into this year, back to the question mark point that Joe brought up, for me it was the quarterback position. It's a position you guys have been trying to fill, and I think you guys have found that solution in Randy Morales. And just talk about his progression, and we've seen him just continue to grow and really get a good grasp of the offense.
No, well, there's certain things that we've kind of lived up to, and, Coach Ledesma is his coach / OC. But there's certain things that we've talked about, me and him out, and I won't mention, but I know the coach is done great things mentoring that young man, and his confidence level, you guys see it from the very beginning to now. He is on point, and he's having fun. He's having fun. Coaches keep things simple for him, but at the same time, there's standards and expectations, and he's met them. But it's just one thing about the expectation of Cardinal football. It's always the way I tell Bubba. I've told him many times. It's always Coach Gomez, the quarterback, and then him when it comes to things that are not going in the right direction. But you got to be a competitor, and that's one thing that we come in agreement that he's a competitor.
Yep.
And from now on, that's the kind of mentality that we will have at that quarterback position. Not that I'm saying that some of the guys prior weren't competitors, but this guy is
he's that dude.
He's that dude.
Yeah.
What you look for. And not just that, but he also does a great job off the field as well. And he's a multi-sport athlete. Also competes at a high level in soccer. So again, Randy has grown tremendously, and the great thing about it, he's a junior, so a lot of high expectations still for him.
And defensively, on your side of the ball, you guys had a couple of injuries. How have you been able to overcome those injuries? I know you mentioned you started having guys go both ways on the offensive line and the defensive line, but how have you been able to overcome those?
Well, honestly, we're still trying to overcome it. We have some spurts. We're not our identity on defense is not completely set in stone. But our kids are very resilient. They go extremely hard, and that's all you can ever ask for as a coach, man. Just provide me with everything that God's blessed you with in this role. And we've been fortunate, but we've given up some big plays. And that's one thing that I was bringing to their attention today. We got to learn to kind of cut the bleeding. Like I said, we got to cut the bleeding, man, because we're giving up some big plays, so we got to get better at that. So, I put that in their mind at the same time, let it marinate amongst the kids, and you can hear them talking, hey, man, we got to get – so that's what you want. You want player-led teams, and that's what it is. But other than that, Randy Morales is doing great things, and super excited for the young man.
Paul Price, talk about him for a little bit. I know last year he had that injury that scared all of us. Not just about a sport, just about a person and the kid himself. Being able to see him come back and play, because there was a time where we didn't know if he was going to play or not. So just talk about Paul and his resiliency and him being back on the field.
No, for sure, Paul. It was man. We I'd catch myself sometimes meditating and just thinking about that young man, because man, I was thinking, imagine having an injury and then doctors telling you that you may not be able to play again.
Right.
So, but no, he's definitely a kid that can stretch the field, and he knows he's fortunate to be where he's at, and that's one thing about him, that he can do some things better. But other than that, he's a competitor. He's a kid who's thankful to be able to play, man, and then he's having fun, and that's the whole thing about. I can't say enough as these kids are having fun, and it's like when that's happening, everything around you is like. You see these kids, everything seems smoother, everything seems easier from a coaching standpoint too. But again, it's just the vibe and the culture that we've created at HHS, and it's all through the grind. And there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that people don't know about. And we'd be here for another hour.
Yep.
But I know that our coaching staff do great things for these kids. On the offensive side with Coach Ledesma, special teams wise, Coach Sweeney. On the defensive side, you got Coach Ray, Coach Mondo, those guys that handle that. But we're all in this together, and I can go on and on.
Yeah.
But it's just simply a culture that is second to none.
Isaiah Bell, I feel that we all knew who Isaiah Bell was, but now last week we saw Dave Campbell, Matt Stepp, and the guys come in, and they were just amazed by Isaiah Bell and how he played in that game. And again, for us, it's like, cool, that's just what Isaiah Bell does. But for him to now maybe, if you didn't know, now you know, and just about how Isaiah Bell and the year he's having.
Oh, for sure. He got nominated for, I guess, Player of the Week when it comes to the Dave Campbell's magazine. But Isaiah Bell is a different animal. He's very athletic, but not just that. He's overcome so much in his mind. And that's the whole thing about we don't want just kids to go through our program. We want them to go through but eventually grow through the program, and not just physically. Put on some weight, get stronger, but grow mentally, make wiser decisions. And that's the whole thing about we feel fortunate and blessed and super just joyful for that cat, because he's overcome so much, man.
I think the funny thing for me was that I was reading an article prior to the United South game that Isaiah Bell was like, I may not look like I'm fast. I know I'm a big boy, but I'm pretty quick. And then he broke that 70, 80-yarder against United South. I thought that was funny for me because he would not improve it. He is a lot quicker than he looks.
No, for sure. You look at him, especially with that shaggy hair,
Yeah.
Like the other day, hey, man, come on, fix your hair. We were about to take a picture. He's just laughing. But that's who he is. He knows what time it is, and he knows when to turn it on and stuff. But believe me, he's overcome some injuries, but that's the main thing about him. His mind is clearer than ever. That's why the kid's so sharp.
Yep.
And like I said, he's not the only one. Because it's like anything, it just starts to spread like wildfire. And being around that cat, some of these teammates, like I said, that's why they're playing so sound and so I guess aggressive and /sound. It's because of the mentality that these kids have. And again, he doesn't just only play. He helps his coach out there. He's a leader, does great things, and that's hopefully somebody giving him an opportunity to play someday at the next level.
2 weeks left in the season. You have Rivera and then Los Fresnos. Do you feel, I know you mentioned that you really haven't found your true identity yet defensively, and I'm positive you'll figure that out here sooner than later. But do you feel as a team you guys have peaked yet? Are you peaking or you've yet to peak? Where are you at on that scale as far as where we're at?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not there. We're definitely not there, and that's what's scary still. But, it's scary within my own standards because I have personal standards, but as a team standard, I know that we're doing some great things offensively, special teams wise. We've gotten better for sure. We've been special on special teams. Defensively, it's been hot and cold, but we've been fortunate, and that's the whole thing about it is that we truly believe as a staff, as a program, as an organization that we haven't played our perfect game, and no one will ever play a true perfect game. The closest thing, based on what Joe was mentioned to earlier, was maybe the game versus Warren, which is almost a perfect game, but there'll never be a perfect game.
Yep.
But one thing that we do emphasize is we can't have perfect effort, and that's the whole thing. I truly believe we haven't played that game where we have perfect effort and perfect focus, but we still got work to do.
Switching gears, Sunday, Cowboys-Bears.
Yeah, I already know, man. Let's go Bears.
Coach, a shout out to your volleyball team as well. They won their
absolutely.
back-to-back district titles last night.
Yeah, Coach Daughters and the girls, I'll tell you what, man, they've worked so hard. Some of these girls got a chance to work with them this summer in the off season. And I'm a girl dad, man. I raised 2 girls, and I root for these young ladies, and they ain't done. I'll tell you right now, they ain't done, and they have a bright future ahead of them once they do graduate as well. They got several girls, and they can hopefully get an opportunity to go play at the next level. But, super proud of them and what they're doing, Coach Daughters and her staff, and definitely go Cards.
Yes, sir. Any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
No, just to anybody out there who's listening. I believe in we have a great, huge program down here at the 956, and I just root for any young man out there who's all in, all in their grades and being a great son at home, and definitely being a great player under the lights. But other than that, I root for the Stros, your Stros, man, for sure, and just life in general, man. Always keep pushing and understand, be the best you can be.
Yes, sir. That's Manny Gomez, head coach of the Harlingen Cardinals. Good seeing you, man. Been a while.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All
On
right.
the other side of the break, we'll be joined by Rocky James when we come back.
Sunny days or starry nights. Lay back or splash down. Brunch, lunch, or late night munch. That's as hard as it gets at South Padre Island. Voted Texas Travel Awards Destination of the Year. Plan your escape at sopadre.com.
We're the St. Joe Bloodhound Cheerleaders, and you're watching Real Sports Live! We are the Border Cowgirls, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Yeehaw!
Ibanez Tortilleria, serving up freshly made in-house corn and flour tortillas since 1994. Try our delicious menudo, tasty barbacoa, fresh tamales, tacos, variadas with juicy grilled chicken, and tender fajitas. On Mondays, buy 1 barbacoa taco and get 1 free if you mention that you're a Bloodhound fan. Located at 4726 Paredes Line Road, Brownsville, Texas. Open every day at 6:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. To order, contact 956-541-9594.
We're the San Bernardino Lady Trojans, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Our service is unmatched. Our commitment to our team and our community, relentless. Our products are innovative and exciting. Fruia, where what's next? Now.
Welcome back to Luke Fruia Motors here in Brownsville, Texas. Kevin Aro, as promised, head coach Rocky James of the Rio Hondo Bobcats. Coach James, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were here at this time last year, right? More or less.
Yes, pretty close to this.
Same year?
And I was here with the Brownsville Vets head
right,
coach.
Kelly Lee. That's right. Yes, sir. Yeah. So thanks for joining us again. And we're already in the latter stages of October, fixing to flip the calendar to November. Just talk about how fast the football season has gone. We got 2 weeks left in the regular season.
I know it seems like the waiting for football lasts longer than actually the season going on. But yeah, once you hit late October, you've got 2 weeks left, and right now we're down to a week and a half. So.
Right.
It's a very exciting time, though. This is really the time you look forward to. The weather's changing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once you start feeling those first cool fronts coming in, kind of get a little more excited about playoff football.
How have you been? What's new with you?
Oh, I've been great. Everything's been going really good. Life is great. My kids are doing very well. Rocky's got one more semester, and Ethan's finishing his master's. So, and my wife's office is doing fantastic. So everything's been going great with me.
Good deal. And as far as the athletic program, I know volleyball. Are they still in the mix? Where's
yes,
volleyball
should make the playoffs. There's one more game that we're waiting on, and once that game is played on Friday, then we'll know kind of like where we sit. But volleyball should get in.
And, not only you are in 3A, but they're in 3A and, your whole athletic program. So it's been a little bit of a change for myself because I'm looking at the schedule and I don't see the PIs, the Progressos, the Gruyas, the Raymondvilles. How has the transition been like from going to 4A to 3A?
I think just the venues have changed. We've got a lot of idea schools. And like for volleyball, pretty much, it's changed. And for all my other sports, it's going to change. For football, playing the San Diegos and the Fouls, that was all new for us. I still played my old foes in Raymondville, PI, Hidalgo. So I still played those guys, which I would love to continue to play them because they are kind of big rival games, even though they're non-district now. But they're still rival games, and the fans want to see them. But getting to these new teams, it's been nice. It's been nice. We went to Foul and played in Foul just this last week and got a victory. And it was nice playing somebody different. It was almost like a playoff game for us because, we really hadn't played that. I've never played that team before. I have played in their stadium. We played a playoff game there against Orange Grove a couple years back. And so at least I had played on that field before. So I think that was a little pretty nice for us.
Y'all are 4-4 overall, 3-0 in district, and I think that 3-0, it's very pretty for you and your staff. Like we were talking with Coach Gomez about finding an identity. For you guys, have y'all found that identity as a football team just yet?
Yes, we have. Offensively, we had been waiting for this offense to really turn it on. I have very good athletes, and I know. I knew all along we were going to be really, really good offensively. And defensively, I knew what I had, and I knew we were going to be a stout defense, and we have a lot of good athletes on the defensive side of the ball. So I was more worried about the offensive side. And as of late now, we've won 4 in a row. And as of late, the offense has really come on. My offense coordinator, Victor Salcedo, has done a great job of getting these guys ready. We play with a lot of sophomores, so early on it's kind of tough getting these guys football ready. But they're ready now, and we're just moving along. And very happy to be 3-0 in district with a big game against San Diego Friday, and they're 2-1. And so's Lyford, and so's Fruia. So we're all kind of bunched up there. So, but if we can win this game against San Diego, we'll at least have a share of the district title already.
And for these kids that are a lot younger, like Gavin Pettis, the sophomores, the juniors, how have they taken all that, and how are they understanding? Are they aware of the situation, that how big these games are? Because I've had conversations with coaches that they say, well, our team was so young, I don't think they quite understood the magnitude of it, to opposed to where you're looking at a 3 or 4-year starter.
Right, but for us, those guys, the Gavins and Keans, those guys, and Ruben, my quarterback, Atkinson, those guys started last year as freshmen, so they kind of know the magnitude of how important getting these wins and making it to the playoffs is, because we didn't make it to the playoffs last year, and that was one of the few years in a lot of years that we hadn't been in the playoffs. So for them, they got to see, firsthand how tough it is to get to the playoffs. So they understand it. And the sophomore group is a really talented group, and Kian Lopez has just come on strong at middle linebacker. He's one of the best in the state right now, stat-wise. He's doing a tremendous job for us. So But my sophomore group does understand the magnitude of what's going on right now, and hopefully they're tough enough to carry us through.
So from last year not making the playoffs to this year to where you're flirting, you're right there.
We're
right,
in the playoffs
You're
already.
in it officially.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's a matter of seeding and a district title.
Right.
So you're in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the biggest turnaround? Has it been the experience, or is it just maybe figuring out the pieces?
I think it's experience. I played with a lot of freshmen. We played with 6 freshmen last year, so that's really tough to win games with freshmen, and every head coach will tell you that. But having those guys now as really seasoned veterans for me. Ruben playing quarterback, at early on in the season, he wasn't making some throws that he makes in practice every day because of how big the game was and the fans, and I could tell in him that that's all he was lacking. But now that he has this experience, he's doing a fantastic job.
Winning this season, because I'm looking at the win streak, 33 against Fruia, 63 against Progreso, 28 against SGA, 28 against Foul. When was it throughout this win streak, or maybe it was before that, maybe the PI game when you said, hey, this team has what it takes. We are better than we thought.
Okay, so from the very first game against Raymondville, we were already saying, hey, we're way better than this. And we were telling the kids, and we were showing them really on film, look at this right here. We should win this game. We should have won this game.
Third and 20.
Yes,
okay.
Different things. We should have won this game. Even against PI, it should have been a lot better. We should have done a lot better. And so the kids all along had seen that where we were at. And so once Fruia came along and we got that win against Fruia, I think that was our turning point where the kids kind of finally started understanding, hey, we can get this done. And with the younger guys mixing now with the seniors, I have a good senior bunch too. Not a lot of them, but it's a good senior bunch. And so I'm happy for those guys.
And now you have San Diego up next on your schedule. With what you can share, we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. For you guys, what are going to be some keys?
For us, it's going to be trying to run the ball. We are a very good running football team. Throwing the ball is just icing on the cake. I mean, we have a great group of receivers. All 4 guys can catch the ball. We have Gavin, Kean, Jaden, Roman. Those 4 guys are just phenomenal catching the ball. But Tony Barrientos running the ball does a tremendous job. And so I think our identity, too, has kind of changed a little bit. We're trying to throw the ball a whole bunch at the beginning, and now we're starting to run the ball, slow the game down a little bit and run the ball. And that's really helped. We have a good offensive line, so I'm happy with that.
That's something that you normally don't do, right? I mean, at least in the times I've seen you, it's just you're airing it out. You got so many receivers. You're going to use your quarterbacks. I don't really remember you guys ever being very run-heavy.
No, and slowing it down,
Slowing
too.
it down, yeah. You got me when you said slow it down. I was like, wait.
I think we were just going a little too fast for these sophomores, that the game was going a little too fast. And so I thought slowing it down would help them. And so I believe it has. Now, between plays, we'll call the quarterback over, and my offense coordinator will talk to him and explain to him and let him run back out there. And I think all of that, slowing everything down for him, has really helped this team.
Defensively, with what you can share, what are going to be some keys?
We got to stop their run. They're a run-heavy team.
Nasty slot.
No, you know what? I
I
thought all along they were a nasty slot team, but no, they're not. They're more of a spread team, and they'll run some 2-backs, which we call Utah. They'll run some Utah sets. They'll run a tight end once in a while, but no, they're basically a spread team trying to run the ball, just like us. We're a spread team trying to run the ball, and so that plays into our strengths. Playing these big schools like Hidalgo with all these big linemen and double tight coming at us, we kind of have a tough time with that. But when we start playing these spread teams, it kind of plays into our strength, where we're a little bit faster than we are big, so it kind of helps us out.
And it's a big 2 weeks for you guys. You have San Diego, and then you have Lyford, and we know what Lyford can do, and we've seen the success they have had. So very big 2-week stretch for you guys. So just talk about the 2-week stretch for you all.
Well, it's been starting all week. So these kids, we've had 2 good practices. We got another practice today coming up after school. So we're just trying to get these kids ready for to expect, I guess, really the unexpected for these guys. San Diego's going to come in and try to do whatever they can to win this game, and we got to counter that. And playing with the kids we have, I know we can get it done. The Lyford game is probably more important to these kids than San Diego, because really we don't know San Diego.
Right.
And
sure, I agree.
In their eyes, I'm sure they're already looking at Lyford, and San Diego's really the team in front of us, and we got to just play the team that that the next one up kind of mentality, and San Diego is a very good football team, and the kids see that on film how good they are.
They don't see this as. Do you see this as a trap game because of the fact that to the
Lyford's
point?
next. Yes, I kind of do, but I also know as a coach, my coaching staff, we've got these kids ready. We're not lacking anything or missing anything. We're covering all our bases, and I think we'll be ready for San Diego. I don't think we'll miss it, but I know in the kids' eyes, they're looking forward to Lyford. Their friends are over there, their cousins are over there, and so people are looking forward to that Lyford game. So I just want this one to be a victory where now we can move forward with being undefeated against Lyford.
Like I asked Coach Gomez, we talked about the identity and how he found the identity of your team, but also figuring out your mojo. Do you guys feel y'all have peaked? You've about to peak? Are you peaking, or where do you?
No, I think we still have a long way to go. Really, offensively, I mean, we can light it up. I mean, we really have potential to light it up, and we really have not lit it up the way I know we can light it up. We've won our games, and we've done a great job offensively, but I really think those guys can really take it up another notch, even 2 more notches. So I'm hoping that happens this week, and then against Lyford, I hope we take it up another notch and we're able to get a victory then also. But yeah, we're still have a long ways to go, I think.
We're not looking ahead, but what's upstairs in y'all's district? I mean, what are the teams that
are? So you want to be one of the top 2 teams for sure, because if you're one of the bottom 2 teams, you're going to play either Edna, who's number 2 in the state, or Industrial, who's like 30 or 35 in the state.
Okay.
So all the other ones, are a little bit like London. They're a little bit further down on that list. But you really want to try to get to you really want to come in first or second to have your best opportunity to continue to move on.
Changing subjects real quick, Eric Pizarro. How about that kid?
He's doing fantastic.
He's up at Kansas State.
Yeah, he's up at Kansas State. Yeah, so he left school in what's the school
Lamar?
over there? Lamar. Left Lamar.
KP's there. Kelsey's there.
Yes, his sisters now went there.
Yeah.
So she's doing really good. She looks real mature. She's come home and worked out there in our weight room and looks real mature now. But so did Eric. Eric came down for a semester, and my God, he just looked unbelievable athlete. He left like a young boy, and he's like a man now. So really proud of him, doing really well.
Tyler Bush, too. You talked about Tyler Bush is just built different these days, right?
Oh, yes. He's a completely different guy. Tyler Bush, one of my favorite kids of all times. That guy just really turned into – he's a bodybuilder now. He's got a weight room. He's training people. He trained one of our other kids that graduated with them. That kid lost 100 pounds with Tyler. And so Tyler's done a tremendous job with what he's doing.
I ran into Chevel Alvarado last week. He was officiating the Edinburgh game, so I got to catch up with him. And, Abby and Joey, of course, they tied the knots. So I was like, that's awesome. And then they just had a newborn. So I'm like, that's going to be the next superstar in Rio Hondo.
Next linebacker
there. Next linebacker, the next Joey Ortega. I do have one request, though. Tino just walked in. Can we get the ketchup and mustard game back?
It's Tino that didn't want to play, first of all.
Can we get the ketchup and mustard game back? Can we get the ketchup and mustard game back?
Not me.
The ketchup and mustard game.
I love the guy. He just says that he's not willing to play us, but he says the next realignment he's ready to play. Right?
We're in. Ketchup and mustard, though. It's back.
It's back.
So for those that don't know, the ketchup and mustard Rio Hondo, you would wear your all yellow uniforms. St. Joe would wear the all red. So it was ketchup and mustard. And every time those two played, something funky always happened, like weird goal line stops at the end, or a penalty that shouldn't have been or should have been, or you get Kai Money and Tyler Bush.
I think they were up like 28-0 one time, honestly, we came back.
That was
28-0? Think something like that.
Gonzalez Field,
Yeah,
and then
so we've had some really good games.
Yeah.
With Money.
The Kai Money,
when
Tyler
Kai
Bush
was there, that was just unreal. Yeah, it was unreal.
Video game numbers.
Yeah, some fun times. Those are fun times.
So prematurely, the ketchup mustard game.
Tino still owes me lunch for one of those wins, I think. Something.
Oh, boy. That's Coach Rocky James of the Rio Hondo Bobcats. Coach, before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give to any of your staff or anybody out there?
Oh, yeah. I would like to thank our administration. We have a new superintendent. He just got hired, Raul Trevino. He's been on staff already there before, but I'd like to tell him congratulations. And all the administration there at the central office. And my principal, Asaero Rubalcaba, does a tremendous job with the students there of Rio Hondo. But
Mr. R.
Yeah, Mr. R.
He probably has the best sneaker game, right? Of all the
without
principals,
without a doubt.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Mr. R.
And he
Yeah.
just bought a Corvette, so he's on top of the world right now. He's
What
on top
color?
of his game. A white one. Yeah.
He didn't
very,
post
very
that.
Nice. He hadn't
I'm
posted
surprised.
that?
No, I'm surprised.
Oh, I
I'm
don't know.
surprised he didn't show-
He bought it here in Brownsville. He was driving home Friday, he said, and he stopped and bought it. So that was good for him.
How convenient.
Yeah, good
Very
for
nice.
him.
Good shoe game, good car taste. That's Rocky James of the Rio Hondo Bobcats. When we come back, Tino Villarreal is going to be joining us here from Luke Fruia.
Thank you.
Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas, there's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past, first pressings, collectibles. How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
We are the Red Lady Raiders, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Castillo. I invite you to visit San Benito and see for yourself the many things this community has to offer. Our offices of economic development offer a variety of business resources to developers, investors, and business owners from small to large scale. Contact us and let us work together on your next business opportunity.
We are the Harlingen Lady Cardinals, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hello from Los Fresnos CISD, an A-rated Texas Education Agency district. A stands for Academic Excellence at Los Fresnos CISD, where pathways to secondary success are being built for students at the brand new Resaca Middle School campus. A stands for Academic Advancement at Los Fresnos High School, where the College Center provides a jump start on college and career readiness that includes advanced placement classes, dual enrollment options, CTE opportunities, and scholarship money. Los Fresnos CISD, an A-rated and 7-time post-secondary readiness distinction district.
We are the Edinburgh North Lady Cougars, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
At Harlingen CISD, college, career, community ready is more than just a saying. We've created 12 academies to provide students with access to fields of study that best fit their interests and passions. Within the 12 academies, there are 42 certifications that will aid students in getting a head start on a career upon graduation. Become HCISD proud and enroll today.
We're the Pace Lady Vikings, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Graduation time. Time to make some decisions. What's next? Can I afford to continue my education? What are my options? At Brownsville ISD Career and Technical Education, you can graduate from high school with a certificate and or license ready to go to work, debt-free. We have a wide range of programs for every student ranging from audiovisual, law enforcement, STEM robotics, electrical, welding, pharmacy, patient care tech, and many more to choose from. That's why Brownsville ISD is the best choice.
We're the Edinburgh Lady Bobcats, and you're watching.
Welcome back here on our show here at Luke Fruia Motors. Joe Bowling, now Tino Villarreal joins me. And, Coach, first of all, thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you for having me as always.
Well, let's talk about, first of all, I'll talk football with you, just straight up. It was not one of those, hey, we absolutely have to win the game last week, but it was one of those, if we want to position ourselves where we want to get to, that was one that you put on your belt as saying, good thing we won that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was scared going into the game because we Hyde Park last year struggled a little bit. They were 0-10. And it's always a tough thing when you sit there and you look at your schedule and you try to who's parents' night and who's homecoming. And so I circled them in as homecoming. And looking into going into this game, they're 6-1. And we were tied for second, third. Second place, we were second, third, tied for second in the district. And so it was definitely a game that we knew kind of nerve-wracking because it was homecoming, a lot of distractions around that game. And Del Pozo has not been healthy for us. So just going into games like that, I think just makes us grow, and the win definitely made us a better team.
You got that win, and now that's goodbye to Canales Field until the playoffs, but you are still in control of that. If you want to get back on that field, the next 2 weeks are equally important.
Yeah, so we're in a good position right now. We have two games remaining in district, and we have to win one of those games to secure the second seed, which ensures us home field for the first round of the playoffs. So hopefully we can go knock it out this Friday. We have a tough road game. We're going up against St. Anthony's. We'll be playing at Incarnate Word University, and the hopes is to just continue improving week in and week out. I think if we can get a little bit better every week, we should be okay, and hopefully we secure another home game for the fans and for the seniors, and obviously to not have to get on a bus. That could start taking a toll for us, and we travel a lot.
This week you get to play in a pretty big venue.
Yeah, it'll be big. This is the biggest venue that we'll play in this year.
Talk to the fans about where that's at, because you and I know, but let's let them know.
So it's called the Gale and Tom Benson Stadium. It's at Incarnate Word University, and it's at 7 o'clock kickoff. So any Bloodhound fans that are looking at this, if you have family, friends that live in the San Antonio area, the greater San Antonio area, we need people to wear red to show up to Incarnate Word University at 7 p.m. And if you can't make the drive out there, it's on their campus. You can't miss it. It's on their campus right there off of 281. But if you can't make the game, obviously, we're going to be on the Bloodhound channel, and now it's on Roku. And if you can't find it, I had to call Joe yesterday to just kind of figure out how to do the Roku. I found out it's easier than I thought. But we encourage all our fans. You can't make the game, get on Roku. If you can't, if that's a little too troubling, just go to the website, right? realsportslive.com, and you go to the little tab on the side. It says channels. You go to the Bloodhound channel, and then they'll show what's happening live right then and there. It's kind of the new way to do it, and we encourage our Bloodhound fans either to show up and support us in person or to get on the Roku and watch us there for now. And as always, I'm always looking for people to help market and advertise and keep that Bloodhound channel rolling. So if you're a business that's interested in putting your commercial, call me at the school, call Katie. If we're looking for people to support this channel, so we want to continue to grow it, and we can't do it without people's support.
Yeah, we talked about this at length last week during this show, that the reason why there's a Bloodhound channel on the first network channels for Real Sports Live was because, for a very simple fact, they were the first school that said, you know what, if we get the advertising, we can have our own channel and we can showcase not just a few sports, not just a few games, but every game, every sport. And so that's what this is all about. I know I've had people ask me, and they've asked Kevin, they've asked our other announcers, why are you at St. Joe? Why are you at St. Joe? We explained that last week. This brings it home even more, that channel exists because it's at this point in time, the only school that has said we want our own channel and we're willing to help get the advertising to make it work, because this stuff isn't free, and that's my commercial. But let's talk about again as we loaded that, because I was at home. I've loaded it. I've been the one living it. But it was a little cumbersome at first because right now it's on Roku, which means a Roku television or a Roku device. Now, if you don't have a Roku device on your television, there's a Roku Express that's at Walmart for $14. That's a quick ad. But we're also approved on Amazon Prime. We just haven't been published yet. And, why did you select Roku, Joe? Let me give you a little history on that. There's 80 million televisions that have been sold with Roku installed on them. There are 40 million with Amazon Prime. And there are 20 million with Apple. And so I was like, well, most TVs have got this. Then we'll go to Amazon Prime. We're coming to Apple as well. But again, I put a video out yesterday after I talked to Coach because my wife got on to me. Dahlia was like, you couldn't even tell Coach how to get to his own channel. And I was like, well, you know what? You're right. I figured out how to do it, and I need to put it out there. But it's easier than you think. If you have a Roku device or a Roku television, add the channel. Just simply go to the place where it says add channels, add the channel, search Rio Sports Live, and this is how far up the chain we are on that. Type in RIO, and it'll find Rio Sports Live first.
You'll be the first one on there.
It will.
Yep.
It'll be the first one. And so load that, and it's there. And if you haven't been there, it's not just, and you found this out, it's not just about, hey, look at those 5 channels. The RGV channel, the Premium channel, the Coastal Bend channel, a guide channel with South Padre Island, the Bloodhound channel. It's not just about those 5 channels. From there, those of you familiar with Netflix or a platform like that, it's just like that. You want to find a game, you want to find a volleyball game, you want to find a football game, you want to find a specific school. Coach, it's there. It's a lot more powerful than what people think.
Yeah, I actually called you. It's so powerful, I called Joe, believe it or not, for the Harlingen Los Fresnos volleyball game.
Yep.
I wanted to watch that. I just saw something on Twitter that game was going on. I'm like, hey, that's going to be a good matchup. And I love watching sports, and that's what was going to be live. Hey, how do I watch that? That's what I was trying to look at. But yeah, it is literally like having Netflix with a live feature. Imagine that. So you have your live thing going on right now, and if you want to watch, like I missed the game. By the time I called you, by the way, I did not know. By the time I called you, the game was over, first of all. But when I finally got into it, within 30 minutes, it was already archived, and I could just scroll down and watch the game if I wanted to watch it from beginning to end. But it is a phenomenal. It is the future. It's something that I know you and I talked about. You pitched that to me, that idea in your brain 7 years ago in 2015, and to start seeing it and really, like, I got to get on my TV and do that yesterday. I don't know. Not too many people, Joe, have a dream. A lot of people have dreams, but they're not willing to risk everything to chase the dream, and then very few actually get to see it come to life. So this is yours. I've been kind of just listening and bouncing ideas back and forth with you about that, and listening to you tell me kind of what it looks like. But to see it yesterday and to be able to kind of use my remote control to finally see something real that was just in your imagination, congrats. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's here. It's in the Rio Grande Valley. It literally is yours. It was built out of a dream. That's for certain. It was built out of a dream from way back in the early 90s is when I really started looking at, what could we do? I was at a radio station, and I had fans that wanted to listen to the game. And so we keyed a microphone up in a Yahoo chat room next to a radio so fans in Florida could listen to their team play in a state championship game. That was before streaming. I didn't invent it, but at the same time, there wasn't many doing it. And at that time, after that was a state semifinal game. The team got to the state championship game, and I told my daughter, I called her back at home. I said, how did it work? She goes, it was cool, Dad. I keyed on the microphone. I set the radio station next to the microphone. I created the Yahoo chat room, and people were actually commenting from Florida. And she was joking. She goes, well, we had a bunch of them from Asia and Europe and Africa that were just like chiming in. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. But I told her, I said, let's try this on the next night. I said, I'm going to take a webcam, and I'm going to spin that webcam around, and we'll turn that into a Yahoo video chat room. And lo and behold, they were watching that. And that's where the real first indication to me was this is a powerful opportunity. And then, of course, trial and error, set on things, try it with other people. This doesn't work. It's not going to work. You sit on it. You say it's never going to happen. And then, like you said, I started really looking at it, all the experience, all the knowledge, the new technology. I was like, in 2015, it was close. By 2017, in October of 2017, when we launched this, it was all mine. And I said, now I'm in control of this, whether it works, whether it doesn't work. And, COVID happened. We became a streaming company, which is not what you see on this Roku television channel. This is a channel. This is a dedicated 24/7 running with content. You're going to see more shows coming up. Yes, the live content's there, the Netflix version. But
people don't understand it till they log in.
Yeah.
Until you get in, you still think it's just, where can I get the stream game? And the stream game is a micro, like a little fraction of what Real Sports Live Network is now.
Yep. And so I do appreciate that, but yeah, there's a lot of history behind it. Let's talk about your volleyball team, because I know as the athletic director, you put that hat on.
For sure.
Congratulations, making the playoffs.
Thanks. Congrats to Coach Holguin.
Once again, I think anytime you talk about St. Joe and playoffs, if you don't have it at home, you better get ready for a long trip, and your girls have a long trip ahead of them.
Yeah, we snuck into the playoffs. We had a rough start to the season, but once Coach got all the players in place and everything, my opinion, we should have finished probably in the top 2, right? Like had we had a start like that, yeah, I know they're good, but we're kind of barely getting going. So we got in there as 4th place, the 4th seed. We're going to have to travel up to Fort Bend Christian on Tuesday. We're playing at 2 p.m. Up in Fort Bend. But we're back in the playoffs. The girls get to rock their playoff shirts. And what a great start to just sports in general for St. Joseph Academy. We have our cross-country team qualified. There's 6 runners on boys and the 6 runners and the girls traveling up to Waco to the state meet that happens Monday. So they leave Sunday. We've got both loaded boys and girls team going to cross country. We've got the volleyball game happening on Tuesday in Fort Bend, and then our football team hopefully securing a home field. So what a great start to athletics at St. Joe. We've enjoyed having 15 district championships in the last 2 years in our program, and hopefully we can make this one a lot more memorable. Obviously, when you start strong, it kind of gets that school spirit going for the rest of the season.
And by the way, basketball season just beginning, and those teams are touted as better watch out. This may be one of the better teams ever.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Martinez, we know that name. Regina Tovar on the girls' side, we know that name. But there's other names that people don't know and maybe that we forgot. But nothing gave me greater satisfaction than walking into the gym the other day and seeing Jimmy Navarro out there and going full speed. And he's bigger, he's stronger, he's in shape, and he's hungry because he didn't get to play last season. So I'm looking forward to a phenomenal basketball season as well.
So it is that time of year. And let's not miss out on the fact that coming up on your football program, I didn't get a chance to talk to Rocky on the air, but his program, as he puts it, survived, maintained contact through COVID. When you did not have JV teams, you couldn't play middle school games, you couldn't have people anywhere near getting organized and getting experience that was needed, and therefore the numbers went down. But now here he is, 4-0 in district play. He's in a position to share a district title with the win and then outright win a district title. But right behind this successful group of sophomores who went through COVID without playing in those JV games, the sophomores are now experienced. And here comes an 8th grade group that is talented, 45 strong, a 7th grade group that's strong. St. Joe, same position. Here come the 8th graders. Here come the 7th graders. The programs are finally saying, we're back to generating some players, and it's coming.
It's coming. I mean, St. Joe in general is coming back. So a lot of people that don't know about St. Joe, our enrollment was decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, and we just celebrated our 2nd year in a row with a school increase for the first time in 13 years. We have over 150 people who have taken the exam already, knocking on the door to come to St. Joe. It looks like it's going to be another year of a sellout where we just don't have the seats available for St. Joe next year. And so with that, obviously, numbers come athletes. And our 7th and 8th grade teams, volleyball are strong. Our cross-country team was strong. And I was just telling Rocky right now, he told me his 8th grade group was really good. And we were just literally joking right now. I said, yeah, well, we beat you guys last week. And he started laughing. He goes, yeah, well, we beat you in 7th grade. Both close games, both great squads. I know he's looking forward to getting those kids up to high school. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys play with our young team because we only graduate 5 seniors, 3 of which are starters on the football level right now. So we're as young as Rio Hondo on a varsity football level. So the future looks great for both squads.
All we got to do is get through the second year of realignment, and these guys can put their helmets on as coaches and look across the way and scheme and coach against it. Again, it goes down as one of the most memorable games on Rio Sports Live history, and that was year 1 when that Rio Hondo St. Joe game. You were on the wrong side of the winning score of that game, but it doesn't mean it wasn't a win as far as high-level competition. And I know that, this year and next year you weren't able to play them, weren't able to get them on the schedule. But when you're talking and you're eager about, hey, in 2 years we'll get to play again, that's real.
Oh, yeah. The only reason that we stopped the schedule is literally it wasn't the fact that we didn't want to play. Rocky wanted to play, and he was willing to move and move some people around. I was just solid on certain groups certain teams that we wanted the Brownsville Veterans game, and the only availability they had was week 3, and there's no way that I could move that game. So we were kind of locked a little bit on our choices there, but it is on me. I mean, Rocky was willing to move anything for us, and it just didn't work out. Especially being in an 8-team district, I only have 3 non-district games, and shuffling that was the challenge. But we look forward to playing. Nothing better, in my opinion, and that's just because it comes from a small school, right? Small school. There's nothing better in the Rio Grande Valley than one-town teams or small schools playing each other. That is what creates it. The Battle of the Arroyo. Small town, big school, but it's one-town team. And Harlingen, for as big as they are, they're 2. And now that they have 6A, 5A, it's really like look at that stadium. There's nothing better than those kind of rivalries. The Rio Hondo, Port Isabels, the Raymondville, all the 4As of the Rio Grande Valley. Those are my favorite competition.
And when you talk about St. Joe and Rio Hondo, they're in the mix of a trio that used to be just a regular game to look forward to every year, and that was Port Isabel, Raymondville, or Rio Hondo, and St. Joe playing each other on grass fields, which is a rarity anymore to be playing on that grass field. So we look forward to that. I'm going to crystal ball it as one of the bigger games coming up, not next year, but the following year, because I know the talent coming up through these guys. I know the talent coming up through there. Circle it. You want a crystal ball? We'll do it. We'll hype it. Not next year, but the following year when Rio Hondo St. Joe renew that rivalry. Circle that as a game to watch. Yeah. Coach, again, appreciate you. Anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap this up today?
Yes, one thing for anyone watching, especially our Bloodhound fans, but anybody watching, we have our biggest event coming up on Thursday, November 3rd. Next Thursday, we're selling individual tickets. Tables are sold out. If you don't know, if you haven't heard about it, it's called the Taste of the Town. Taste of the Town is an evening where we bring 30 restaurants, local restaurants, and we have tables. We have a ring of honor. We get to honor a coach. We're honoring Ray Cortinas. He's been over 40 years. He's a line coach. He's been head coach of football. He's been offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. He coached me. He was my line coach, and he's coached 5 state champions in discus. He's our current shot and discus coach for track. We're honoring him. We're have 600 people that'll be on our campus, and it's all you can eat, all you can drink. And I know that we're hoping to have a Real Sports Live table so that we can kind of film that, and also look for Bloodhound families and communities that want to keep the Bloodhound channel alive. We're going to show them a glimpse of it, show them how to log in and put a big screen there. We're looking for sponsors, and we're looking to make it real big. It's a beautiful event. It supports athletics, and if you don't know about it, go to sja.us, ask for tickets, and we hope to see you there.
That's Tino Villarreal. We'll be back. Ruben Rodriguez will join me as we continue to talk sports here at Luke Fruia Motors. Back after this. For quality care, contact Mesquite Home Health and Attendant Services today. In Brownsville at 594 Jose Marti Boulevard. Call today, 956-361-5558.
We here at Mesquite want to wish all local athletes good luck in today's game.
We're the Harlingen South Lady Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Hawks up!
Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival will be held at the Harlingen Convention Center November 9th and the 13th. Registration open for over 100 field trips, seminars, and special events. Entry into the trade show, Birds of Prey, flight shows, and Children's Nature Nuke are free. Come join us. Visit rgbbf.org for more information.
We're the Mission Lady Eagles, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Yeah!
Take a ride or ride a wave, build a castle or visit a castle, morning stroll or nighttime roll. That's as hard as it gets at South Padre Island. Voted Texas Travel Awards Destination of the Year. Plan your escape at sopadre.com.
We're the Mission Vets Lady Patriots, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Woo!
Josh Moody and Coach Rolly Gonzalez of Josh Moody Loans are former Harlingen Cardinals and would like to wish all the teams good luck in tonight's games.
We're the Valley View Lady Tigers, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hija, tomorrow's your quinceañera. I need you to call your padrinos and tell them thank you for the salon, the tamales, the dress, el DJ.
Ay, Ama, you called them. I didn't even want a quinceañera in the first place. I would have preferred to have gone to Paris instead.
I will, fine. I'm gonna give you your surprise gift early.
Huh?
Guess what? You're going to Paris.
How?
Well, I've been saving mucho dinero all year in insurance thanks to Pronto Insurance.
Let's just skip the quinceañera and go straight to Paris.
Call your padrinos right now.
Okay.
Ask your agent how you can start saving with Pronto. Best price in town.
We are the Edinburgh North Lady Cougars, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Woo!
Our service is unmatched. Our commitment to our team and our community, relentless. Our products are innovative and exciting. Fruia, we're what's next now.
Here at Texas A&M University, Kingsville, we are a family. We support each other through thick and thin. We work together, grow together, excel together. We inspire each other to become the great minds of the future. We are here to ensure you succeed. Apply today to get started. This is your time.
Back here, Luke Fruia Motors here on a Wednesday. A little bonus coverage for you, a little overtime, if you will. We normally close things up around 3 o'clock. Ruben Rodriguez made the trip down here. A lot to talk about that we didn't get to. And, again, I appreciate those three coaches more than you can ever know here on Real Sports Live. The first three calls I made were to St. Joe, to Rio Hondo, and to Harlingen to say, hey, can I do a game in your place? Here's what I'm trying to do. I want to keep something alive that I dreamed of. And all three coaches said, Joe, come on down, whatever you need, we'll put you in. It was those three coaches that spearheaded year one of Real Sports Live. So my appreciation on this show is a little more involved than what you would think. Ruben Rodriguez alongside Kevin back to join us. We did not talk about a lot of the other games from last week. Yes, we had the big one with the Battle of the Arroyo. St. Joe won their game. They made the playoffs. Rio Hondo wasn't a broadcast game, but they won their game. They're 4-0 in district play. Let's talk a little bit about the games last week and what they mean this week.
A very, very busy week indeed last week in Week 9. We start off with Thursday. Harlingen South, 71-0 win over Brownsville Lopez. Sets the stage for that matchup against Bronzeville Vets this week, a matchup everyone's looking forward to in that district.
That's our game of the week.
Rio Hondo knocks off Alfurias 28-22 again. Rio Hondo goes 4-0 in district. Edinburgh North knocks off PSG High 18-8. Edinburgh High defeats La Jolla 45-21. McAllen Road gets a win 52-15 over Rio Grande City. West School knock off Brownsville Rivera 47-14. Busy Friday night.
Hang on, before you do that, let's wrap up what that means on Thursday, that win for Rio Hondo. I know Coach James talked a little bit about it, but that victory over Falfurrias meant they're 4-0. Falfurrias lost, or 3-0.
3-0.
Falfurrias lost, and Falfurrias plays San Diego next week. Meanwhile, Rio Hondo plays San Diego this week, and then Lyford's sitting there saying, hey, guys, don't forget we're in the mix too. And those 4 teams will all mix it up over the next couple of weeks. So Rio Hondo, big win over Falfurrias. That's the first time the 4 playoff teams have engaged, and one can say, aha, we're better than Falfurrias, and now everyone match us. So go ahead. Let's go on with Friday games.
We go to the Friday game, of course, the big one. Harlingen knocks off San Benito 37-21. La Villa gets a big win over Santa Maria 36-35, a close-knit battle in that district. La Jolla Palmview just beats Mankai 31-30. Edinburgh Vela blanks La Jolla Juarez Lincoln 69-0. Los Fresnos slips by Bronzo Hanna 24-21. St. Joseph Academy gets a big win over Hyde Park 42-21. Sharyland defeats Mission Veterans 47-21. Santa Rosa defeats Monte Alto 62-20. Roma 56. PSA Memorial 21. Clefairia 46. Zabata 30. That was an interesting matchup I got to look at. Port Isabel knocks off Bishop 14-17. Gregory Portland defeats Mercedes 45-12. Lyford 42. Santa Gertrudis 24. Mission 40, Edinburgh Economides 20. Sharyland Pioneer 42-21 over PSJ Southwest. Flower Bluff blanks Valley View 51-0. Brownsville Vets gets a big win over Dunn North 53-3. Raymondville 27, Legria 14 in that small 4-team district. Now they're just not fighting for seeding at this point. And it's a 4-team district, so you got to see who gets the most wins and who punches their ticket to the postseason. San Diego 46, Progresso nothing. PSJ North 48, McCall Memorial 3, Donna 28. Brownsville pays 7, Alice 49, Hidalgo 7, last but not least, Ed Cal Chelsea, Brownsville Porter 24-13. A very busy week 9.
A lot of meaningful games there, Kevin. Let's talk about, first of all, maybe the sleeper win. It was a low-scoring affair, but it was a 3-point victory, but it was an important victory. Those Los Fresnos Falcons are sitting there in 32-6A. Nobody talking much about that football team. They can make some noise because of their last game of the year and the one they're playing this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Los Fresnos early on in the year, a lot like Harlingen, they had a lot of questions, particularly at the quarterback position, and we saw Partida early on go through those freshman lumps that freshmen go through. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel that the game that turned the corner for him was the PSJ game earlier this year, where they went right down the field, 90 yards, last 4 minutes of the game. They killed all 4 minutes, went 90 yards in what they call turbo there in Los Fresnos, and he orchestrated that game-winning drive, and they punched it in, I think, with maybe 2 seconds left to beat PSJ, and it was a shootout. I think since then, Partida has found his groove as a quarterback. I think Los Fresnos has found that confidence as a team, and 32-6A, it's a 6-team district. And at least I believe, going into this year, we looked at 32-6A. I know for a fact I did, and say, okay, who's the definitive beast this year? We thought maybe San Benito might have been it early on with what we saw in week 1. Harlingen won a few games, and it's like, okay, let me take a little sip of the red Kool-Aid. Tastes a little sweet, cool. Then they get some more impressive wins. They beat Laredo United South. They beat Laredo United, and it's like, okay, it's time to jump on the bandwagon. But Los Fresnos can most certainly shake some things up. They do play Harlingen. They beat them last year in that overtime game. So, there's motivation there for Los Fresnos, and I think, they can most certainly put themselves in a position to get that 3 or that 4 seed out of 32-6A, because right now it's, mapped out the way we figured it would be. Harlingen, San Benito, Harlingen, but obviously now knowing what happened last week, it's Harlingen, San Benito. Then you can look at Los Fresnos, Weslaco, and if you're Los Fresnos, it's just, like Coach Gomez said, it's one game at a time, but I think we're seeing a lot of that youth step up, and they're really figuring it out late. And that's a huge win for them this past weekend against Hanna. And then they have Harlingen, the final week of the year And
San Benito this week.
It's San Benito this week. So it's a lot like Rio Hondo, where they got San Diego this week, then they got Lyford next week, Harlingen South. We'll talk about them in a little bit, where they have BVM this week, they have Donna next week, where they win the games they're supposed to. And that puts you in position to play the games where you know you can compete with the teams that are better than you, projected to be better than you, or you feel you're on par, or you might be better than them. So they won the games they were supposed to, and that's put them in a position these last 2 weeks. Although they are going to come out with a PWO attitude. That's San Benito, pissed off attitude.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you that. I can almost guarantee you that no one went home Friday night from that field house.
Yep.
Just about guaranteed. So San Benito is going to come out firing, and Los Fresnos, it's just going to be a matter of absorbing that first blow.
Because it's coming.
It's going to. If Los Fresnos can withstand that, I think they'll be okay. But for the position they're in right now, it's really good. It's a good sign for that program. David Gantuzo, Los Fresnos guy, obviously graduated from there. This is his second year. And when I talked to him earlier this year, it was a matter of we now know what this system is. And now he, like you and I have talked in the past, he's done a great job on grooming quarterbacks. And he has his hands on this freshman that I really like. And I know a lot of people are growing to like as well, especially in that program.
If anyone is going to sneak up on anybody, it is Los Fresnos. But again, it's hard to sneak up on people when you got to go to Bobby Morrow Stadium. You do not sneak into where the Greyhounds call home, especially coming off a loss. Yeah, you're right. That first quarter is going to be a telltale sign. But coaches who have aspirations of being in the playoffs want to see how their teams respond to other teams that are locked into playoff spots. Great way to go into the postseason for Los Fresnos. If they're going to make a postseason run, two good teams to wrap it up with.
I tell you what, if they run the table, watch out 31-6A.
Yep.
You know, and not to get ahead of myself or of us, but Edinburgh and Edinburgh North play this week. They're both 3-0. Edinburgh North is very quietly 6-2 this year. So that's my school, and I feel like they're finally doing it. They're figuring it out at the right time, and we put ourselves in position to play for a district title. But and Edinburgh High too. I was really impressed with them last week with what they do with their rushing attack. It's really good, and they're only gonna get better because they're gonna get JT Santamaria back at quarterback. So they were missing a piece last week. So that's happening this week along with the snakeskin that we'll get into. But to your point about the 32-6A and what's ahead in 31-6A, that too is shaping itself out.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, I didn't want to get lost in just running down some scores. Thanks again to Version 2 Media. That's where Ruben got his reference there. Anytime I see that we're using any other media's work to accumulate anything regarding statistics, scores, things like that, Version 2 Media does a great job of putting out content and putting out scores. So I want to make sure we give credit where credit is due there. We've got the snakeskin. We'll be talking about that. That's going to be on the RGV channel on our Roku. But let's talk about our game of the week. And that is one that we circled when we last saw Brownsville Veterans, and that was against St. Joe. And we were like, you know what? That Harlingen South team, if they keep putting it together, we may have a big game on our hands when South goes to BVM. And guess what? It's a big game.
We most certainly do. And, we'll rewind just a little bit. That set this up was Weslaco East throwing the 12-6 curveball into that district, beating Brownsville Veterans. I didn't think they were going to win.
I didn't think they would win, but if you look at it from another angle, of course, 20/20 hindsight's real easy. But if you're going to go into a place and think, well, we're going to run the ball effectively against somebody, then the coach that could probably coach against that as well as any is Coach Burgett.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They limited to BVM to 3 possessions in the second half. Bingo, Yahtzee, that's exactly what it was. So you're completely right. Silly me, I should have known better.
Yeah, well, look at 20/20 hindsight, because I didn't see Weslaco East being good enough to execute. But again, if you're going to write one down, Coach Burgett is one of those coaches that says, you want to play a game in which you get 3 possessions, I get 3 possessions, I got a way to win that game. And that's what he did.
What was it, 20
21
16, 15 when they played Del Rio.
21. Well, yeah,
Well,
the Del Rio
but-
game.
but
Yes.
To this day, I still have not seen a game that was coached to perfection. So much so that it pissed off the coaches that were upstairs watching. That was
Yes.
Cibolo Steel. They're like, "Ugh," like, why are they doing this? And I mean, but to your point, yeah, I mean, they drew that up perfectly. And Burgett, man, a couple years ago, it was in the spring. I went by Westlaco East. I forgot what I was on assignment there, but it was like April, and I found Coach Burgett in his office with the lights off, and I'm like, what's going on in here? He was glued to his laptop watching film in April. So it's what a lot of these coaches do, right? I'm like, silly me. I'm like, why are you watching film in April? But I don't know.
Yeah.
But to your point, I mean, yeah, he coached that team up to right on par to beat BVM. But
So they got the win, and
they
now,
got the win. So that sets up this this Friday. You know, in Harlingen South, you know, they played a lot of tough teams early. Let's not forget that. And you know, they lost a lot. We know that. So to be in the position they are now, you know, is a tribute to Coach Izzy and just what they've done, and they've been able to turn it around there at Harlingen South. And I feel like this is a theme, but a lot like Rio Hondo and a lot like Los Fresnos, here's the meat and potatoes of that schedule. To where, again, South won the games they were supposed to decisively. They have the confidence. And now they have Brownsville veterans here in the penultimate game, and then they have Donna next week. So, you know, I talked with Coach Izzy a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, they had that game circled. Not that they were overlooking Lopez or Donna North in the bye week, but they knew that if we do what we're supposed to, in 3 weeks from now, this game's going to come, and we have an opportunity to win a district title. And raise your hand if you'd have said, oh, Harlingen South's going to play for a district title in 3. You'd be like, no.
Not this year. Not no.
Yeah,
You knew
right.
last year was a magical year, but after that, not this year. You didn't come in saying, hey, they're going to get a chance to win a district. 71 points put on the board. I was there. I watched that football game, and they've got talent coming. Our player of the game was a sophomore, and he could easily start for a lot of teams. So Harlingen South comes into that game. You know, Kevin, the question is, can Israel Gonzalez find a David Burgett moment and say, let's slow that offense down? And it's not a prolific offense that's going to put a bunch of points on the board. It's an offense capable of taking big amounts of time off the clock. How do you solve that if you're Izzy?
You know, and it's funny you bring that up, because when Izzy came to South, you know, I sat down with him in his office and said, okay, Izzy, so I knew what you ran in Lyford, and it's a different world now, because when you were in Lyford, you had kids that went both ways. Because it's a 3A school, a lot of these small schools tend to do that. But Izzy, I'm like, now you're in 6A, now you have the luxury of numbers. So what exactly are you planning on running? And he says, he goes, Kevin, I promise this will be as cheesy as you'll hear me answer you, but we're going to be multiple. I said, well, multiple? He said, we got Levi Entz who can play linebacker. You'll see. We're going to line up at tight end. We're going to line him up at fullback. We're going to have Carlos Mossboss. We're going to line up out here. Devin Montemayor, he's going to play 2 ways. Jeremiah Rivera, we're going to play him 2 ways. So I was like, Izzy, you don't have to do that anymore. You're in 6A now. You got numbers. But he said, no, we're going to be multiple, and you'll see how we'll change things up. So, you know, now year 2, he may not have all those weapons like he had last year, but the point being he's multiple. He'll figure out a scheme to where they want to go ball control, they can go ball control and kill that clock. I think the big emphasis in this football game is going to be the turnovers, because Izzy saw that, you know, and he saw that, okay, well, if there's a weakness on this team, what's it going to be? And he says, well, they tend to turn the football over a lot. So you can bet that him and his defensive staff, they're going to be preaching strip, punch, rip, whatever you got to do. So, you know, in other words, you know, it's challenging Brownsville Veterans offense, saying, hey, this is what you guys have shown that you guys are vulnerable at. You know, Harlingen South sees that as an opportunity, and I think, you know, if BVM can just stay clean of the turnovers, I think they win that football game late. I don't think it'll be a goose egg like the Donna game. But, yeah, I think Izzy can put together the game plan well enough to where they'll give them a shot, an opportunity, and it'll be a lot like the Los Fresnos game, where we'll know in that first quarter whether South, you know, if the young guys can handle that kind of environment, and we'll know right away. And it's at BVM, which, by the way, a very underrated place for football games. It's a beautiful venue, and, you know, Veterans has a great home crowd, and we'll see how South handles that environment. Didn't work out so well for Donna, but we'll see what South can do.
It's going to be a fun environment. It is our game of the week. It will be on our Roku station on our premium channel. Again, that's BVM at home against Harlingen South. Another rivalry game this week we won't talk a lot about, but it is one of our broadcast game. Rudy Zamaripa Jr. gets the call over there. Year in, year out, it used to be, man, I can't wait for this game. It may have lost a little of that luster outside of the two communities, but Friday night, one of our biggest broadcasts on our platforms of YouTube and Facebook will be Mercedes Ed Couch Elsa. So don't forget about that one. But Ruben, you get a good one when you go over to Sherryland, and that is the Snakeskin Classic. And while Sherryland and the Diamondbacks may be in a youth movement of moving up the ladder in the bigger rivalry games, it certainly doesn't lack the atmosphere that game's going to bring. Talk to me about this Sherryland and Diamondback game that you're going to get to call.
Well, first of all, tip of the hat to Craig Krell and company at Sherryland. Talk about a complete 180. They start off the season 1-4. They get that big win against Pace. They lose the next 3 to Westago, to Mercedes and Han, and then by a week, okay, let's rethink things out. They get the big 3 wins in district. They get that win. They knock off Roma, Pearson Moore, and then they get the big win over Mission Vets last week. And then that's a team that's got the pieces already rolling. Talk about Bo Krell, the junior quarterback, picking up 4 touchdown passes in there. The Guantes, Alan Gonzalez picking up 2 touchdown receptions. Alec Gonzalez gets one on his own. The ground in town was turned by Alec Guerrero. Over 100 rushing yards, picks up 2 touchdowns. And this is a team who, again, complete 180. We talked about it last year, Sherryland, Mission Vets, and Mercedes. When they were all in 16-5A Division II, the picture was painted, these 3 teams are in a 3-way tie. Picture was painting as well here in this district too. Mission Vets gets knocked off by Sherryland. Pioneer knocks off. That was the picture being painted between Sherryland, Mission Vets, and Pioneer. Pioneer knocks off Vets. Sherryland knocks off Vets. Now that sets the stage for both teams who are hot. Both teams are coming off 3-game win streaks, 3-0 in 16-5A Division II, and both these teams have a lot of firepower on both offense and defense. 2 junior quarterbacks going at it, Bo Krell for Sherryland and Julian Valdez for Sherryland Pioneer, and then 2 great coaches on masterminds, Eddie Galindo for Pioneer, Craig Krell for Sherryland. It's just a big matchup, and right now it's the calm before the storm, but come kickoff, it's going to be a war.
It's going to be an atmosphere, and that will be on our Roku station on our RGV channel. And so again, as Coach Tino Villarreal was talking, some of the future is being peeled back here on where the games are going here for Real Sports Live with our network channels. Again, the premium channel has Harlingen South against Brownsville Veterans. The RGV channel has Sherryland Pioneer. The Coastal Bend channel will also be in action that night, and that will be the game at Texas A&M Kingsville. Mark Molina will have the call on that one as we get a little taste of RGV versus the Coastal Bend. And, of course, the Bloodhound channel will be going. So 4 channels will be going live on our Roku channels as well on Friday. But again, that Rattler Diamondback matchup, 3-0 in district play. I don't care what it is as far as overall records. Diamondbacks holds an edge there, but it's 3-0 against 3-0, and that's another good one matching up there. Kevin, I know you're on the road with Brownsville St. Joseph and a much-needed victory there, but any other games just jump out at you this week? I think everyone else is doing what they need to do. The Velas aren't going anywhere. PSJ North isn't going anywhere. They're still rolling along. But any other total meaningful game that you look at this week?
Just the Edinburgh North game, because me being from Edinburgh, and I've heard the word community a lot throughout this show. For me, that's a big game for where I'm from in Edinburgh, and it kind of gets lost in the shuffle these days because you have the Edinburgh-Vela rivalry that really spiced up about midway through this last decade. But for Edinburgh North and Edinburgh, for guys like myself that were, graduates of 2010 and before that, that was the game. That's the game that you got up to go out and play because it was Cougars, Bobcats. I didn't like them. They didn't like us. And it was simple. And, because we played Little League growing up, and you were the Pirates and we were the Phillies in Little League, at Nick Cantu Park, which is now the Viper facility, which is amazing. I feel old, but the Viper facility, that whole place used to be 4 little baseball fields, and that's where I played, T-ball and Pinto and Pony. And then across the street where the library is now at, that used to be a baseball field as well. Barrientos, if you feel me, maybe you know where it's at, but on Freddie and where Barrientos Middle School is at, there used to be a baseball field there called Soto Field. That was that was a long time ago, and that's where we played our fall ball. That's where we played our winter ball, or fall ball, summer ball, wooden bat leagues, and it was never a, Cougars and Bobcats are going to play together. No, it was Cougars are on one team, Bobcats are on another. So that game means a lot to the community. It's an older rivalry. I shouldn't say too old. Edinburgh North opened up in '91, but it's one of those old rivalries that it means a lot. And this is for the first time in a very long time that both teams are undefeated, and this is pretty much for the district crown. So I think that game, other than the ones there, those stick out to me. And a quick shout out to Claudio Torres, if I hadn't said his name enough, from St. Joe. The kid's a sophomore. Last week he had 13 catches, 200 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a pick 6.
Yeah, you're thinking Del Pozo's hurt. Oh no! And then it's like, well, wait a minute.
DP went down, and they were missing him in the St. Michael's game, and then they gave that role to Claudio. And Claudio just took off and ran with it in the St. Michael's game. And I told Tino and I told Sammy, I told Drew, I'm like, guys, I've never seen, or it's been a while since I've seen one player just completely take over a football game. And that's what Claudio did in the St. Michael's game 2 weeks ago. And then last week it was just, I'm like, okay, now he's just showing off. That pick 6 the other way. But, Joe, here's one more thing, and I promise I'll shut up, is I got to meet his parents. They're from Cancun. And, through Spanish, she was just saying how much it meant for their family to be able to watch Claudio play from Mexico. Diego de la Cruz is also from Cancun, and Sebastian Solis is also from Mexico. So their families cannot come to the States as often. But last week was homecoming. So being able to meet Claudio's parents, it meant a lot for me. And I know it means a lot to you, because these families get to just sit back and conveniently watch their son, who's a sophomore, play in the States, get educated, play football, and then, them being able to watch them from home.
That is really neat. Well, there you go, fans. You've had a half hour of overtime. Again, we talked about how big Rio Hondo game was this week. Oh, by the way, basketball season has begun, so all 4 of us, as in Ruben, Kevin, and then Rudy back behind the scenes on the camera, are heading out to try to get in front of basketball season for you as well. And the playoff volleyball, give a shout out in that direction. We will be covering playoff volleyball. It'll be exactly the same way we did with the water polo, in that we are going to be contracted through the NFHS network, through Dave Campbell Magazine, through Highfield Marketing. We'll be covering volleyball playoffs. It'll be a different way to watch it, but we'll be covering those games. Watch our social media. We'll put it out there what games we're going to be at. And then, of course, as we get near football season, that's going to change too. But those volleyball games start on as early as Monday, possibly. We'll know more as the next couple of days play out. But for certain, Tuesday, there is some volleyball play-in games and position games that's going to be taking place on Saturday. We'll be there for those as well. So there's a half-hour bonus coverage of overtime here for our Luke Fruia Motors Talkin' Football show. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to all our coaches who participated in the show. And again, for Kevin, for Ruben, for Rudy, I'm Joe Bowling for Rio Sports Live. That's a wrap.
Sherryland ISD